The Temple of Baal, sometimes also referred to as the Temple of Baal, was an ancient temple located in Palmyra, Syria. The temple, consecrated to the Mesopotamian god Baal, worshipped at Palmyra in triad with the lunar god Aglabol and the sun god Yeroboam, formed the center of religious life in Palmyra and was dedicated in AD 32. The temple would have been closed during the persecution of pagans in the late Roman Empire in a campaign against the temples of the East made by Maternus Cynegius, Praetorian prefect of Oriens, between the 25th of May 385 to 19 March 388. Its ruins were considered among the best preserved at Palmyra until they were further destroyed by the Islamic State in August 2015. The arched main entrance into the temple is still intact, as well as its exterior walls and fortified gate. History. The temple was built on a tail with stratification indicating human occupation that goes back to the 3rd millennium BC. The area was occupied in pre-Roman periods with a former temple that is usually referred to as the first temple of Baal and the Hellenistic temple. The walls of the Temenos and Propylia were constructed in the late 1st and the first half of the 2nd century AD. The names of 3 Greeks who worked on the construction of the Temple of Baal are known through inscriptions, including an architect named Alexandrus. However, many Palmyrines adopted Greco-Roman names, and native citizens with the name Alexander are attested in the city. The Temple of Baal was converted into a Christian church during the Byzantine era. Parts of the structure were modified by Arabs in 1132, which preserved the structure and converted the temple into a mosque. The enormous temple courtyard, approximately 200 by 200 meters, held mud brick houses among the ruins and served as a fortified citadel for the village of Palmyra known as Tadmur during the 1100s. The mosque is the temple proper, and the dwellings remained in use until the 1920s when Franco-Syrian archaeological missions cleared the temple grounds of its post-classical elements. Most of the Corinthian columns of the inner colonnades still showed pedestals where the statues of the benefactors stood. The temple was aligned along the eastern end of the Great Colonnade at Palmyra. Architecture. The temple showed a remarkable synthesis of ancient Near Eastern and Greek cultures. The temple lay inside a large precinct lined by porticos. It had a rectangular shape and was oriented north to south. It was based on a paved court surrounded by a massive 205-meter, 673 feet long wall with a propylaeon. On a podium in the middle of the court was the actual temple building. The cella was entirely surrounded by a prostyle of Corinthian columns, only interrupted on the long side by an entrance gate with large steps leading from the court. The cella was unique in the fact that it had 2 inner sanctuaries, the north and south adytons, dedicated as the shrines of Baal and other local deities. The northern chamber was known for a bas-relief carving of the 7 planets known to the ancients, surrounded by the 12 signs of the zodiac and the carvings of a procession of camels and veiled women. The cella was lit by 2 pairs of windows cut high in the 2 long walls. In 3 corners of the building, stairwells could be found that led up to the rooftop terraces. In the court, there were the remains of a basin, an altar, a dining hall, and a building with niches. And in the northwest corner lay a ramp along with sacrificial animals were led into the temple area. There were 3 monumental gateways, of which the entry was through the west gate. Destruction. Syria's director of antiquities, Mamun Abdul Karim, stated that ISIL was looking for treasures and stores of gold in the city. On the 30th August 2015, the Associated Press reported that ISIS had partially demolished the temple by explosives, citing eyewitness accounts. The bricks and columns were reported as lying on the ground, and only one wall was reported as remaining, according to a Palmyra resident. The damage was also attested by the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. Syria's antiquities chief, Mamun Abdul Karim, later stated that although there was an explosion within the temple's perimeter, the basic structure is still standing. However, these reports were proved to be incorrect. On August 31st, 2015, the United Nations confirmed the temple's destruction. After reviewing satellite imagery, we can confirm destruction of the main building of the Temple of Baal, as well as a row of columns in its immediate vicinity, reported by the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, UNITAR. The BBC issued a video report showing the satellite images and the destruction described by Einar Jorgo, manager of UN Satellite Imaging, UNISAT, UNITAR. The main entrance arc survived the destruction of the temple. The Institute for Digital Archaeology proposed that replicas of this arch be installed in Trafalgar Square, London, and Times Square, New York City. It was later decided that instead of the temple's main entrance, the replica would be of part of the monumental arch. Restoration. Following the recapture of Palmyra by the Syrian army in March 2016, Director of Antiquities Mamun Abdelkarim stated that the Temple of Baal, along with the Temple of Baal Shamin and the monumental arch, will be rebuilt using the surviving remains. ISIL recaptured the city on the 11th of December, but the Syrian army retook it on the 2nd of March 2017. In July 2017, the French company Art Graphique et Patrimoine traveled to Palmyra and scanned the temple's rubble in order to create a plan for its restoration. Digital reconstructions. The destruction of the Temple of Baal coincided with a boom in digital documentation and reconstruction technologies, and motivated a number of research and digital heritage organizations to engage in reconstruction projects, as the temple had been a popular tourist destination in Syria for many years. A great many images existed which portrayed the temple from many angles and viewpoints, making it an ideal candidate for photogrammetric reconstruction. Wissam Wabi and Stefan Nebeker, researchers at the University of Applied Sciences and Arts Northwestern Switzerland, demonstrated this capability, created a 3D model using tourist images along with proprietary data held by photogrammetry pioneer Gabriel Fangi. The new Palmyra project organized the donation of over 3,000 high-resolution images and published the collection as open data on Flickr.com, which is ideal for reconstruction as the platform preserves image metadata, enabling complex matching of images from multiple sources. A comprehensive version featuring full resolution construction of reliefs, frescoes, and finely detailed decorative features, along with the raw data, was later published by UC San Diego data scientist Scott McAvoy in the hopes of encouraging continued collaboration informing future reconstruction efforts.